Welcome to the In-Tune Guitar Academy. This is lesson 12 and how to play a three-chord song if you've never played guitar before. So far we've discussed many things. We started off on buying tips on how to buy your first guitar, all the accessories that you need for the guitar. I've taught you about the different strings that are on the guitar, the string names, and we started off with a few basic notes. Then we started off, then we went on to learning the D chord, then the C chord, and I showed you two different ways of playing the C chord, and then we had the G chord. So those are three basic chords that will allow you to play quite a few different songs. The other thing that I would recommend to you is that you start practicing switching from one to the other. So go from G to C, G to D, and try going back again. So D to G, D to C. So you have three chords to play with, and it's important to be able to know how to switch from one chord to the next. And most early players, or players that are just starting out, that's one of the things that they have the biggest struggle with, is switching from chord to chord. So eventually you want to be able to switch from chord to chord without even thinking about it too much. You go just like that. So eventually, with practice, that's the only way you're going to get there, is with practice. Of course, talent always helps, but if most people, it just takes repeating it over and over and over, and just practicing going from G to C, G to C, C to G, C to G, G to D, G to D, D to G, D to G, D to C, and then C to D. So just keep doing that over and over. And then the last lesson, I showed you part of the G major scales, and that goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now the first position is G, the second position is A, third position is B, fourth position is C, and then fifth position is the D. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is called a 1-4-5 song. So the first position is G, or the same in a bar chord form is G. Those are both the same chords, just played different ways. And then the fourth position, the 4 and the 1-4-5, is C, which is played this way, so G and C. And then the 5 is the D, so G, C, and D is known as a 1-4-5. There's a book called Hal Lynard's Incredible Scale Finder, and in this book there's a chart that tells you what chords go with what major keys. And we're talking about the G major key. So the 1-4-5 position in the key of G major is 1 is G, 4 is C, and 5 is D. So I don't want to get too confusing about this, but the point is there are many different songs that are written around that. One of the most famous examples is Sweet Home Alabama, which was written, recorded, and released by a band from, I think they're from Florida, called Lynard Skynard. And it was released in the early 70s, and it's still very popular today, still heard many times on the radio. And the chord pattern is D, C, and G. So that's a 1-4-5 song, and it's still in the key of G, even though it starts on the D. So this is what Sweet Home Alabama sounds like if you've never heard it before. So it's D, C, and G. D, C, and G. So it's just pretty much that the whole way through the song. It's a fairly simple pattern. I don't want to take anything away from that song. It's a fantastic song. It's stood the test of time. It's still around like almost 50 years after its release. And but the actual recording has many different layers. It's not just those 3 chords. But what my point is that it's written around a fairly simple pattern, but there's many layers to that song. So there's guitar fills, the bass is really good, there's piano, there's a piano solo, there's at least 1 guitar solo, I think there's 2 guitar solos, background singers, the lead singer, harmonies with the background singers. It's a very good song. It's just written around a fairly basic concept. And there's another song from around the same era, written by somebody named Warren Zevon, who unfortunately passed away a few years back, and it's called Werewolves of London. And it's written the same 3 chords. And then there's somebody named Kid Rock, you probably know him, back in 2008 released a song that mashed up those 2 songs together, and he created his own song called All Summer Long, which was to me a stroke of genius, to sample 2 different songs and create a 3rd song and write your own lyrics on top of it and then add your own take on the music. So it was quite a good song. So the point is that you can play many different songs just knowing those 3 chords, or at least get going on learning those many different songs. There's another one, a very famous example called Brownie Girl, that was released by Van Morrison in the late 60s. And I think it's more popular today than it was when it first got released, because I've heard it in so many different places, in hotels, vacation resorts, cruise ships, you name it, in bars, restaurants. So many different people cover that song. And it's written pretty much around the same pattern. It goes G, C, G, and D. That's the verses. The chorus has a couple more different chords, but the verses are written pretty much around the same type of pattern, a 1-4-5. So it's a very common pattern in pop music, rock music, that 1-4-5 pattern. And then, not to take away from any of those songs, it's just a fairly common roadmap to create very good music. So now that we know those 3 chords and that pattern, I'm not going to show you how to play those songs. There's many different YouTube videos out there that will show you how to play both those songs. There's so many different people out there teaching those songs, so you can learn from them. What I'm trying to do is give you the tools by teaching the chords and giving you the tools to be able to play those songs. The next set of 1-4-5 chords that I'd like to talk to you about are A, D, and E. So we play them up here. For the beginners, we play A, E, and D. Actually it goes A, D, and E. So 1-4-5 is A, D, and E. So the D becomes the 4 position in the key of A, and the key of G was the 5 position, but because it's a different key, then it becomes the 4 position, A, D, and E. And that's also pretty common in music history to create songs with. So our next chords that I would like to teach you are A and E. We already know how to play the D. Now we just have to be able to combine them in a new pattern. So the next lesson I'll teach you is how to play A, and I'll probably teach you how to play the E as well. And that will cover a good portion of the chords that you need to learn to start off with. So there's 7 major notes, 7 major chords: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So we've already covered D, C, and G. I'm going to teach you A and E. Now I've left the B chord and the F chord until the end. I will go F chord and then B chord because those are more difficult to play. So that's why I've left them for another time. So join me next time, and we'll be looking at the A major chord and possibly the E major chord as well. Thank you for joining me at the In Tune Guitar Academy.